You've already felt it, even if you never named it, that moment when you speak and the room doesn't shift, when your words land but carry no weight, when someone interrupts you mid-sentence and no one corrects them, not even you. And in that silent exchange, something invisible gets decided about you, something permanent, something that determines whether people lean in when you talk or slowly tune you out like background noise. And the truth is, this decision isn't random. It's not about confidence the way people lazily explain it, and it's definitely not about being a good person. It's about something far more primal, far more calculated, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because respect is never given based on what you say, it's assigned based on what people feel they can get away with when they're around you. And that shift happens fast, faster than your brain can consciously track, in micro movements, in pauses, in how long you hold eye contact before looking away, in whether your voice seeks approval or delivers certainty, and most people fail right here without realizing it. They think respect is earned over time when in reality it's decided in seconds and then reinforced over months, which means if someone initially reads you as someone who can be ignored, every future interaction becomes confirmation of that judgment, and now you're trapped in a role you didn't even know you accepted. Watch closely and you'll start to notice the pattern. The person who gets respected doesn't rush to fill silence. They let it stretch just enough to create tension, just enough to make others lean forward subconsciously, while the ignored person panics in that same silence. They speak faster, explain more, overcompensate, and in doing so, they signal something dangerous. They signal that they need validation. And the moment people sense that need, the power dynamic flips, because now you're not the one being evaluated, you're the one seeking approval, and nothing destroys respect faster than that shift. There's a scene you've lived before, maybe in a group setting where someone makes a subtle joke at your expense. Not aggressive enough to confront directly, but sharp enough to test boundaries. And in that moment, everything slows down. Your body tenses, your mind scrambles between laughing it off or responding. And whatever you choose becomes data, because if you deflect with nervous laughter, you've just taught them that they can push further next time. If you overreact emotionally, you've shown them exactly where your control breaks. But if you pause, hold eye contact, and respond calmly with precision, something shifts. The room recalibrates, and suddenly the same person who tested you becomes more careful, more measured, because now they're unsure how far they can go. And that uncertainty is where respect is born. Not from likability, not from kindness, but from controlled unpredictability. The kind that makes people think twice before crossing you. And this is where most people misunderstand power. They think it's about dominance, about being louder, more aggressive, more visible, but real power is quieter than that. It's in restraint, in knowing you could react but choosing not to, in letting your presence do the work your words don't have to, because the less you chase attention, the more people question why they're drawn to you, and that question alone puts you in control. Pay attention to how people treat those they respect. They don't interrupt them casually. They don't dismiss their opinions lightly. They adjust their tone, their posture, even their timing. And none of that is conscious. It's instinctive because respect operates below awareness. It's a survival mechanism, a way for people to quickly assess who holds influence in a given environment, and once that hierarchy is established, it becomes incredibly hard to break, which is why some people stay ignored for years while others command attention without effort. But here's the darker truth most won't admit. People don't just respect strength, they respect perceived consequences. Meaning if there's no cost to disrespecting you, they will eventually do it, even if they like you, even if they don't mean harm. Because human behavior naturally tests boundaries. It probes for weakness, and wherever it finds none, it assigns value. So if your reactions are predictable, if your boundaries are flexible, if your presence feels optional, you've already lost leverage before the interaction even begins. There's a subtle shift you can make that changes everything, and it has nothing to do with what you say. It's about what you stop doing. Stop over-explaining. Stop justifying your decisions. Stop seeking agreement after every statement, because every time you do that, you lower your perceived authority. You signal that your position needs validation to exist, while the person who is respected states things once, clearly, and then lets silence reinforce it. And in that silence, people either align or reveal themselves. But either way, you stay in control. And this is where attention becomes your most powerful weapon, because where you place your attention determines where others place theirs. If you give attention freely to everyone, it loses value. But if you become selective, if your attention feels earned rather than given, people start to compete for it, subtly adjusting their behavior just to stay within your focus. And once that happens, the dynamic has already shifted in your favor. You've seen this before without realizing it. The person who speaks less but gets listened to more. The one who doesn't react immediately, but whose reactions carry weight. The one who doesn't chase approval but somehow receives it anyway. And it's not magic, it's strategy. It's the result of understanding that respect isn't about being liked, it's about being positioned. And positioning comes from what you tolerate, what you ignore, and what you reinforce consistently over time. Most people sabotage themselves here because they confuse kindness with accessibility. They think being available, agreeable, and accommodating will earn them respect, but in reality, it does the opposite. It makes them predictable. And predictability kills authority, because if people know exactly how you'll respond, they stop taking you seriously. They stop considering the possibility that you might push back, and without that possibility, there's no reason to respect your boundaries. So the real question isn't why people ignore you, it's what you've unconsciously trained them to believe about you through repeated behavior, because every interaction is a lesson you're teaching others on how to treat you. And once you see it that way, everything changes. Your tone shifts, your posture adjusts, your words become fewer but sharper, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, people begin to respond differently, not because they decided to, but because you gave them a different version of you to react to. Make sure to like, comment, and share Modern Intelligence for such insight, but more importantly, watch what happens the next time you enter a conversation and choose silence over urgency, certainty over explanation, and presence over performance. Because in that moment, you're no longer asking for respect, you're setting the conditions that make it inevitable. And the final shift is this: the moment you stop needing to be acknowledged is the moment you become impossible to ignore, because now your behavior is no longer driven by external validation. It's anchored in internal control. And people can feel that instantly, even if they can't explain it. Even if they don't realize why they suddenly take you more seriously, they will adjust, because at a subconscious level, they recognize something has changed, something they can't manipulate, something they can't easily predict. That's the line most people never cross, and the ones who do never go back, because once you understand that respect is not requested, not negotiated, but silently enforced through behavior, you stop playing the game the way everyone else does, and you start controlling it without needing permission. Now that you understand this, watch this next video on control.